is going to hit you hard. Sometimes it's going to hit you really hard. Sometimes it's going to hit you even harder than that. Really, really, really hard. But it's not about getting hit, because nobody goes unscarred or unscathed in this universe. It's how you come back. It's how you come back from that L, that hit. How do you come back from it? Because everybody gets hit. It's the ones that come back from the hit and become bigger and stronger over the ones that die out and are weak. And sometimes you have to realize you need a rebuild. Rebuilds are not easy. Rebuilding is, a really difficult thing because it changes your identity. It changes how you think about yourself, and it also changes how other people think of you. And that's very uncomfortable for most of you out there. Most of you, I don't think, are capable of it. It's difficult to do, and you have to change so many habits in your life that it's going to take a ton of self-discipline. It's going to take a ton of self-assessment that's sometimes really hard to do, because you have to look at the facets of your life that are not good and try to change them. And you have to accept the fact that maybe not everything you're doing is the right way. Rebuilds include tearing down old habits and your old mindset in order for the growth of a completely new identity. And like I said, that's very uncomfortable. And like I said, most of you will not be able to do that. It takes too much. It takes too much work. It takes too much that a lot of you probably won't be able to handle. But for those of you that are ready for it and can handle the rigors of a rebuild, we're going to take a look at what you have to do. Everything is taken from you, whether that's, your family, divorce, relationship, whatever it is, your job, all your money, whatever it is. Don't give up. You have two options at this point. When you are back to square one, you've lost your identity, you've lost everything. You either give up, and we usually know how that ends, and it's the never-ending sleep, or you build something new that will be better than what you had before. And understanding that in the rebuild, it's going to be tough. There is the abyss. There's the part that you have to accept that you haven't been doing things the way you need to. You need to change some things, but you don't want to put the work in. And like I said, instead of giving up, you need to realize that there is more opportunity ahead of you than what's been behind you. You have this new knowledge. You have this new understanding. You have all this energy from the L that you took. How are you going to move forward? And I think that's a really important thing that a lot of us need today. Acknowledge you might not be perfect. Like I said earlier, sometimes you have to realize that you sometimes are the problem. There's either something wrong with you, or there's something wrong with everybody else. And you know what? Most of the time, there's something wrong with you. If there's a problem with everybody around you, it might be you, in fact, that is the problem. And a lot of people have a hard time doing that because nobody wants to admit they're wrong. Either they're too stubborn or they have too much of an ego to admit that maybe they're doing things wrong. You need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's kind of counterintuitive. I said a couple years ago, some of you will get to a point where you're a very good person, financially, physically, but in order for you to get to that elite level, takes so much detail, so much discipline. To become elite, you need to go even deeper than that. And some of you need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And the second that you're too comfortable, whether that's financially or physically or wherever you're at in life, you need to be uncomfortable constantly. Because the more uncomfortable you are, the more growth you're going to have in your life. Knowledge, physically, mentally. And you are going to gain confidence because when you face an adverse situation, you're going to be comfortable with a stressful situation. Things didn't go perfectly as you planned. You're going to be ready for that situation because you're used to being uncomfortable. And that is a critical part in your growth mentally, as well as your maturity as a person as well. Build good habits, guys, because building good habits as your base. You think about building a house. You're building a house and you need the base, that concrete cement slab. That is your base. Those are your good habits. Getting up early every morning, getting in a good workout before work, not eating fast food every day. Every time you go to Dunkin' Donuts, instead of going to Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks every morning, getting your coffee and donut, maybe getting that pre-workout for your morning workout and having a protein shake on your way to work instead of a coffee and donut. Those are the little things that, in any given day, maybe doesn't make that big of a difference, right? The difference between your pre-workout and a coffee and drink in the morning, maybe in one morning doesn't make a difference, but you do that for 2 days, 3 days, a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months, a year, 5 years. And that's where you start to see the difference. And that's why they always say, hey, listen, if you make $100 a day, you save $100 a day over a year, over 6 years, over 10 years, you're going to be in a very successful spot. Now, in that given day, like I said, I'm just not going to go to work today. Okay. But over time, it catches up to you in a good way or a bad way. Do you want to be on the winning side or the losing side of that? Build those good habits and you will be more successful. And like I said in the beginning of the video, guys, it's difficult to go through a rebuild in life because that means you have to change your identity. And you might take some L's in the beginning. You have to understand, hey, listen, I'm not experienced in this, and you have to realize that you're not going to be an expert. You have to learn. But the only way you learn those things is trying new things, going through the pain, going through the suffering of what's going to make you a better person on the other side of that. And I think at the end of the day, you need to be the best version of yourself because nobody else out here cares more than you. Your parents love you, your girlfriend or boyfriend love you, whoever it is. But you know what? They will never love you as much as you love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, it's going to be very few people out there that are going to care more than you. So we'll leave the video at that. You need to change your mind about yourself. You need to rebuild from the bottom up. Tear down everything that you've known. Tear down everything that you've done. Take away those bad habits. You know what those bad habits are. Smoking, drinking, eating fast food every morning, going to Starbucks and getting coffee and donuts. Take those habits out of your life and you will see a huge difference from now moving forward. It starts today and ends when you're gone. The grind doesn't stop. You just keep moving forward. And I'll leave it at that.